Okay, I have a question. Is Josh one of the pilots, or is it his girlfriend?
Josh Brewster?
Yes. Can you let him know?
I'm gonna do that right now.
I'd never been on that side of the fence before.
Go ahead, 6552.
Sheriff, I'm looking for Josh Brewster. Can you have him call into the Link Center?
This kind of really hit home, like this stuff happens to people.
Josh Brewster is gone home. You could probably reach him on his cell phone.
It's pretty tough because it's out of your hands.
We've notified management to let Josh know, so they'll get a hold of him as soon as they can.
There's really not a lot you can do. You just kind of let the scenario play itself out.
From Stars Air Ambulance, this is Mission Ready, presented by WBM Technologies. Welcome to Mission Ready. This is episode 2 of a deep dive into A Mission by Stars. We're a non-profit healthcare organization that provides pre-hospital critical care from 6 bases throughout Western Canada. I'm Deborah Tetley.
I'm Lyle Aspinall. In episode 1, we introduced you to Marcia Burkett, who was brutally attacked by a cougar. If you haven't heard it, go back and check it out.
That voice off the top was Josh Brewster, a pilot at the Stars base in Calgary. Before moving to southern Alberta, he spent many years flying for Stars up north in Grand Prairie. He has fond memories of the area. It's also where he had the misfortune of experiencing firsthand what it feels like when your loved one is critically injured and in the care of Stars.
Josh enjoyed life in Grand Prairie. When he and his partner Marcia weren't working, they spent time in the bush camping, hiking, and enjoying the unique and breathtaking terrain of northern Alberta. Professionally, the area was a great fit for someone with his background in aviation.
Yep. Yeah. Originally, I was a bush pilot in Fort McMurray, fighting fires, flying consultants, that sort of stuff, tours as well. And I wanted to get into the medevac world, so that's when I managed to get a job with Stars and then moved to Grand Prairie for the job. It was a change of pace. I was deciding whether to go, internationally and offshore or medevac. And it just so happened I did have 2 job offers at the same time. The medevac job appealed to me a little bit more than flying internationally.
At the Grand Prairie base, Josh felt at home with the crew and the organization.
It is a very small community, tight-knit group in EMS as well. There were, a few calls over the years where we did transport family members of EMS or our fire members from the community.
It looks like 10 minutes en route, landing at 1633.
The easiest way to describe it there is family. Bottom line, it's both a small community to begin with, and then an even tighter knit community with fire EMS, and then specifically the Stars crew. You spend a lot of time together. You live together at the base. You have your meals together. You have a lot of exciting times and some great memories, and you go through the tough times as well, all together as a family.
It didn't take long for Josh to realize how badly needed Stars service was in Grand Prairie.
It's an incredibly important service, especially to areas of the north where remote access issues are huge. A lot of the work that's being done, whether it's farmers in rural areas or the oil and gas activity or recreational activity, can be very, very remote, and sometimes a drive of 2-3 hours on an oil field or a logging road can be a 25-minute flight for us. So it's very, very different, especially in the spring and in the fall during the breakup and the freeze-thaw cycles. Where road access can be a big issue. To be able to give people the best care that they possibly can, both to get it out to them quickly, provide it there, and then to get them where they have to go quickly is very important to an area where remote access is such a big issue.
Given the close-knit nature of the community, there was the occasional mission where he or his coworkers would happen to care for and carry someone known to them. Never did he think Stars would be called for someone who meant so much to him personally.
But on August 5th, 2014, Josh was wrapping up a late day shift and preparing to head home. Little did he know his girlfriend Marcia was fighting off a cougar near a remote watershed more than 100 kilometers away.
So I was on shift, that day shift. Busy day, we did 3 calls, 2 Edmonton trips. And then we were returning from Edmonton late in the day, coming by Fox Creek, and got another scene call just outside of Fox Creek, and decided we could do the call. It was literally a 5-minute flight away. So we landed, quickly picked up the patient, flew back to Grand Prairie. Gio, the other pilot, and I dropped the medical crew off at the QE2 because we didn't have time to wait for them and still get back to base within our duty day.
The QE2 was the main hospital in Grand Prairie at the time. And when Josh says within our duty day, he's talking about the federally regulated time frame in which pilots could legally fly before needing to rest.
So we finished our day shift and passed over everything we could to the night crew. Kind of going out the door, we had a little look at the weather, told them what was going on. There was a line of thunderstorms rolling through the area that was going to, maybe keep them on the ground for, a half hour to an hour and a half. And then after that, myself and Gio left and went home for the night. I was driving home, and about a 20-minute drive, and I was almost home, and our aviation base manager, Karen Coulter, phoned me. For some reason, it just seemed weird that she'd be phoning me late in the shift. You could kind of hear a little kind of shudder in her voice, and she just didn't really know how to talk to me, which was weird because she was a really kind of happy, bubbly type of personality. So I just kind of told Karen to, I'm tired, I'm grouchy, I want to go to bed, just cut to the chase. Anyway, so that's when she told me that they didn't have any details as to what was going on, only that Marcia had been attacked by a cougar, and that the helicopter had just lifted off and was on the way out to pick her up. It was weird because I'd never been on that side of the fence before. I'd always been on the other side where you're a little bit neutral because there's not a lot of that kind of personal connection, if you want to call it that. A lot of times we just get a location and maybe what's going on. So okay, can we do it? Yes, we can, and away we go. Whereas this one was a little more subtle in terms of, oh, this kind of really hit home, like this stuff happens to people. So I immediately just got right back in my vehicle, started driving back to the hospital in Grand Prairie, and phoned our emergency link center.
Stars Emergency Link Center, this is Andrea. Who am I speaking with?
Just to see kind of if there was any other information that I could get as to, what was going on. Yeah, everything's out of your hands. I mean, you train to have control over those kind of situations, but in the end, there's really not a lot you can do. You just kind of let the scenario play itself out. You know that the right people are in the right place to do what they can, and that's really all you can ask them to do.
Josh is a quiet sort of guy, and as you could probably tell, when he speaks of Marcy's story these days, he carefully takes a calm, measured approach. But those who lived the experience with him know how much it really impacted him. One of those people is STAR's flight nurse, Marla Tabler.
And Josh is so stoic. I think that was even more hard for me to kind of be in, because he's very stoic and he's very calm. And he was still very calm and very stoic, but you could just see, like, knowing him, I knew how upset he was and obviously how concerned he was. So it was just hard to watch.
We'll hear more from Marla and Josh as the story progresses, but for now, let's take a closer look at what it means to be a STAR's pilot, like Josh. And who better to speak with than one of the pilots who flew Marcy's mission? Here's Ed Coleman.
So like I said, this was 2014. I had just joined the company at that time, so I had finished my training in June of 2014. And that very night that this thing happened, they were trying to get me my NVG qualifications.
You heard Ed Coleman say NVGs. He is referring to night vision goggles, a critical tool for flying at night, especially on this night.
So for the people listening to this who don't really have any idea what it's like to work with NVGs, just in general life, let alone flying a helicopter with NVGs, tell us kind of from a pilot's perspective, if you're explaining it to the layperson, you're at a barbecue, somebody says, what's it like to fly with NVGs? How would you explain that to somebody?
The best way to describe it is you take 2 tubes of toilet paper, just the tubes, and you put them up to your eyes, and then everything is green. And I'm sure a lot of folks have seen scopes on television, stuff like that, where you see different contrasts of green, like an old black and white television, but this is green, what you see. So some of the issues that you have to fight with is where you get a lot of our balance and stuff like that from our eyes, from the peripheral vision of our eyes. And so in order to compensate for the lack of this peripheral vision, because it's black out there and your eyes are adjusted to the light of the green scope or the green screen in front of you, is you have to turn your head a lot. So basically your balance, you're trying to keep your balance. You have your your ears, your inner ears doing their thing, but you also have to keep your scan going so that you're flying the machine partially on instruments, partially you're looking outside, just to make sure that everything is where you want it to be. So you're moving your head around quite a bit so that you do keep that peripheral vision. Other than that, it's just very, very narrow. I think it's 48 or 49 degrees of vision, which is not very, very much when you consider, you have 180, almost over 200 degrees of vision as you and I are sitting here.
Mission Ready will be right back.
I'm Summer Hashem, Director of Technology at STARS. We absolutely enjoy working with WBM Technologies. They have a well-established process for client engagement, which really drives innovation and project success. As a technology partner, they understand our needs and goals and work to design effective solutions that are right for us. Like WBM, STARS has deep roots in the communities we serve across Western Canada. You could say we have a shared goal of being ready and available when people need us the most.
And now, back to the show. It had been several years since Ed had flown with NVGs, but he had an extensive military background, and STARS only hires people who are at the top of their game.
So both Ed and Captain Andy Stewart wore night vision goggles that night en route to help Marcy.
Basically, Josh and his crew were out already on a mission, and so they were late getting back, which allowed us to get all of my ground school done before they had actually returned.
Let's take a minute here and talk about a few important aspects of STARS aviation. To ensure the greatest level of safety on each STARS mission, 2 pilots are required to fly the helicopter.
STARS captains have a minimum of 3,000 flying hours, 300 hours of flying at night or during low visibility conditions with cockpit instruments, and 100 hours of STARS flight experience.
Maintenance and development on the helicopters are performed in-house and carried out by licensed aircraft engineers. This is all part of our safety culture, which gives our medical crews one less thing to be concerned about while they're caring for patients. Here's Russell Bardak, the STARS flight paramedic on Marcy's mission.
In the Peace Country where I spent just about 30 years, it's predominantly rural. There's a lot of access issues and there's a lot of time issues. Grand Prairie, the QE2 hospital at the time was, the only trauma center for pretty much all of northwestern Alberta. So you're disadvantaged by time and by distance, and STARS can mitigate that. But that's just one aspect of rapid transport. The other aspect is, highly talented, highly trained pilots that make the mission as safe as possible. I never questioned my safety when I was in the aircraft because I knew that our pilots were so highly trained and practiced in open communication, and our safety was paramount.
And even though the medical crew in the back knew the mission ahead of them and that it was someone closely connected to the STARS family, it wasn't until the helicopter landed at the scene atop Nose Mountain that our 2 pilots learned that the mission was connected to one of their own colleagues. That info had been withheld from them on purpose.
See, whenever STARS is requested, the STARS Emergency Link Center alerts our pilots that a helicopter and crew are being asked to help save a life. And who doesn't want to help, especially the crews at STARS? It's their passion. It's why they get out of bed in the morning. Now, safety is always top of mind at STARS. In fact, it's our top value. Whether it's at the base or in the air, we don't make a decision without answering this question: is it safe? So the first order of business for our pilots, once they receive a request, is to determine if it's safe to fly. It's standard protocol. They are deliberately not told any patient information in order to allow for clear judgment.
It's actually important that we don't know about the patient, and that's why we're not given that specific information when we launch. So basically our job when we get the information is purely weather, purely distance, purely time. Can we do the mission? And when I mean can we do the mission, we estimate the timeline that we're in there, is the weather coming to come in and stuff like that. For a very specific reason, we are not told, and we were not told for this specific mission.
So I think that makes perfect sense. Obviously, the medical crew would have an emotional response. Would it be fair to say that the pilots might have an emotional response as well?
No doubt about it, because there's always a drive to go out and help somebody. And I don't know if you feel that at home or wherever, but usually if somebody's in trouble, you try to help. People have emotions, and we're going out there in an area where emotion has very little place to be, because there's stuff that can happen en route that you have to handle. Let's say we encounter bad weather on the route there that wasn't predicted or forecasted, then you have to make the decision to turn around. So the decision has to be all factual, has to be safety based, and we have to make sure that everybody gets back alive. And that was the pilot's first concern, right? To get there, but to get there safe and to get back safe.
Link Center, pre-alert for a scene call. This is 5 kilometers east of the Nose Mountain Lookout fuel cache, southwest of Grand Prairie, approximately 80 kilometers.
Just a heads up, throughout the rest of this episode, you're going to hear a lot more from the actual radio call between the STARS Emergency Link Center, the STARS crew involved in Marcy's care, and Jenny Burgess, Marcy's colleague at the scene. Some of the radio recording can be a bit difficult to understand at times, but hang in there. You're about to get a real strong sense of how things played out.
Link Center Star 5, standby weather. Link Center Star 5, we can accept 70% chance. Star 5, cover that 70% chance of completion. Mission accepted, and standby for dispatch drops. Star 5 Link Center, you've been dispatched to scene call 5 kilometers east of the Nose Mountain Lookout fuel cache, 80 kilometers southwest of Grand Prairie, and we do have some revised coordinates for you guys when you're ready. Star 5 check dispatch to Grand, sorry, to Nose Mountain area.
Star 5 Link Center.
Go ahead for Star 5.
Star 5, I just want to let you know that the location of the landing zone is right at the site of the cougar attack. They are stating that they believe it's going to be safe for you to land there. They do have some bear spray and some dogs in the area, but of course it's dark, so they don't know where the cougar is now. I just said I would pass that along.
Star 5 copy, thank you.
While the pilots were checking the weather and deciding if we would head out, the medical crew, advanced care paramedic Russell Bardak and critical care nurse Kelly Holt, prepped for the mission. Neither had been on a mission quite like this one before, but they had all the medical equipment, supplies, and expertise necessary.
But how did they prepare, not only clinically, but mentally? Unlike the pilots, this medical duo was well aware they were going for someone they knew. Well, the whole medical side of this story is a big one, so we've set aside an entire episode to talk about it. That's the next one after this, so don't miss it.
After verifying it was safe to fly to Nose Mountain and back, Ed and Andy accepted the mission and proceeded to prepare the helicopter to go skids up. Soon, we were in the night sky and en route to Marcy.
Meanwhile, on the ground, far away on Nose Mountain, Marcy's colleagues learned that STARS was on the way and would be there in a fraction of the time that ground ambulance was projecting.
Okay, and Star 5 has accepted for weather. They have been dispatched. They should be landing there at your helipad. You said you had a helipad there, right?
Well, we have a big open field, yeah. They'll have to transport it to the helicopter.
Okay, we're going to be there in about 24 minutes.
The biologist prepared a landing site for our helicopter, pointing a circle of vehicle headlights to a clear flat area and ensuring all loose items were battened down. Jenny Burgess, who you met in the previous episode, was on the phone with the STARS Emergency Link Center. She was patched in with the STARS crew that was quickly approaching.
And no patient information over the radio, okay?
Perfect.
Okay, no demographics, names, anything like that. So we're going to link you in with Star 5 right now, and they just will have a few questions for you, okay? One moment.
Okay. Christy, I need you. Christy, I need to know her status. But just, they're linking me through right here, Christy. She's stable, right? She's stable. Laceration.
Extension or star 00 for the operator.
Star 5 Link Center, you have Jenny from the scene. Go ahead, Star 5.
Jenny, it's Russell on Star 5. How do you copy?
I got you really faint.
We're about 5 minutes back. Do you have a landing zone secured for us?
Yes, we have 4 trucks around, and they're shining towards the center, and there's one truck that's shining towards the wellhead. You don't want to land on that. We've tried to secure everything. There's nothing in the middle, it's just grass.
there any call hazards around the landing zone?
No, it's an old well. It's an old well site, so it's really huge. There's the farthest trees are actually closest to the patient. I can see the helicopter right now. Helicopter! Shut the door! Shut the door! The helicopter's coming!
Jenny, I just want to know if there's any debris on the ground that could fly up and hurt somebody right now.
There's one tent. There's a tent, but it should be pegged down. Ethan! Rescue! Hang on to that tent! Hang on to the tent!
Hey, Jenny.
Okay, the tent is pegged down. Yeah.
So that key's the mic. Just one sec here. I'll key back in. Star 5, you got Jenny again. Go ahead.
Okay, Jenny, is there anything else that we need to know before we land?
No, you're going to need to walk into the patient, but there's 7 other people here that can help you.
Okay, is the patient still outside, or is the patient in some sort of a shelter?
The patient is outside of the circle, because we did not move her. She's in the bush. It's about 100 meters away.
She's on the ground.
So you see the helicopter now?
Yes, I can see lights. And they probably can see our lights.
Perfect. And so they should be landing here shortly.
Do you want me to stay on the line until they land?
Yeah, I think that would be good, just in case they have any questions. We don't have any other contact with you otherwise, and no radio communication.
Yeah,
so.
Okay.
How are things going?
Are they on the ground, Jenny? Excellent. You did a great job, Jenny. Thank you very much. You can disconnect.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
On the next Mission Ready.
Like off in the distance, I could hear stars approaching, and it was just kind of this feeling of relief that I'm going to get out of here. This is kind of like a nightmare we're living, and nobody can leave it until I'm out of here first. One of the nicest things you can ever see is a STARS crew leaning over you, giving you a reassuring smile.
Mission Ready, presented by WBM Technologies, is researched and produced entirely in-house by me, Deborah Tetley.
And me, Lyle Aspinall. We're part of the STARS communications team. Mission Ready contains original theme music by Kaya Gamble, the daughter of one of our longtime former pilots. Find her at kayagamble.com. That's K-A-I-Y-A Gamble.com.
Subscribe to Mission Ready wherever you found it so you don't miss an episode, and rate and review wherever possible. Be sure to tell others about it too. And if they don't know how to access a podcast, please show them how, or just point them to stars.ca/podcast, where they will find several ways to listen. We've also created a bonus episode of Mission Ready that tells the story of how STARS began. We'll release it at the end of this season.
Our ability to provide world-class patient care since 1985 is only possible because you make it happen. As a charity, we rely on support from the public so we can be there for the next patient who needs us. To donate and to join our fight for life, please visit stars.ca. Until next time, thanks for listening.